This video let's talk about what is a program made of and what are programs and programming language. So then we will show you how to upload a file to the project on your IDE to run the program. A program programming language. The difference is a program is a set of instructions that the computer follows to perform a task. So one program, you have specific problem you want to solve, and you have couple sequence you want to follow. So when you want to write a program, usually you will think about how to solve that problem. So the way to solve that problem, we say that's an algorithm. So sometimes when you heard about algorithm, basically that's mean the way you try to solve a problem. On the other hand, is the solution you want to write into a program. So we solve the problem start with an algorithm. The algorithm is a set of well-defined steps. Then we translate the human thought into the programming code. For example, if I want you to write a payable application, I want you to calculate the paycheck, how much I need to pay for each employee. So we need to know the employee hourly rate. We need to know the employee, how many hours they work. So then multiply by these two, we can get how much money we should pay them. So that's why here, if I want you to write a program, the first thing you need to think about from the human idea, how you will solve the problem. So you will write a program to calculate, and you need to display your result to the employee total salary from the hourly rate and the salary we know, and work hours from the user. So that's why here, you think about that's your program, right? But also I want you to pay attention. You know the algorithm is how you calculate the total salary with the hourly rate and the work hours. But on the other hand, I also want you to pay attention for two keywords. The first one, after you calculate the employee total salary, you see you have to display. Then, how do you know the hourly rate and the work hours? So then we decide we want to get the input from the user. So then from here, your idea to write this program is, I have to get the input from the user first. That's why I can get hourly rate and the work hours. So then by multiply these two numbers, I get my my total salary, so I can display to the screen. So after you know about that, actually need to very specific to have the sequence to know what happened. Like earlier we say, we need to get the input first, right? But how you get the input? So the first thing, you need to display a message on the screen asking about the user. How many hours did you work? So you need to prompt to the screen. User see it as from the screen. So they say, how many hours do you work? Right, so then the user will enter the number of hours they work. So on the other hand, the user will enter the number. But after user enter the number, you need to save that in the information, right? So that's why after the user enter the number from the keyboard, we need to read from that and store that in the memory. So that's later we will show you. When we say store a value in a memory, you need to define a variable. Continue. We have the work hours now. So again, we need to display a message to the screen asking, how much did you get the pay per hours? So again, wait for the user enter the hourly rate. Then I need to store the hourly rate in the memory again. So on the other hand, I need another variable to store the working hours. After I have the hourly rate and the working hours, they both in the variable. So then I can multiply then the numbers of hours by the amount paid by hours. then you get the total salary. The same thing, the total salary we need to save in the memory. So after we're done, we display the message to the screen to tell the amount of money we earned. So this step-by-step to solve the problem, we call that the algorithm. So sometimes you can like the human thought to write step-by-step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or sometimes we say we can write in the pseudocode. So of course now I won't ask you to write this code. But here I want to show you actually the code I want you to the code we try to solve for this problem. I already have that ready. So then let's show you in the canvas. So the next one I want to show you where the file is. That's under our course shell. So you see you have files. So then under the files you have couple folder. So then under the files you have demo files, you have lecture files. So then here you need to go to the demo files. Remember we are in chapter 1. So that's why in chapter 1 you see here we have the example I want you to write. Not the write, actually I want you to see. So here in chapter 1 we have chapter 1 example. So this chapter 1 example actually just write in C++ how we will solve that problem. I will talk about that in detail later. But one thing is I want you to see here, I give you the demo file, how you will run this program. So how to run this program, the first thing you need to download. Okay, so after you see this, you see the icon, right? So then you can choose download. Okay, so I need to choose roll down. Okay, so after that you see you will have the files, you have download button, you download. So after you download, they will be in your download folder. For example, my download folder is on my Mac, is under the download, so you will see that. So how to run this program is really depends on which IDE you use. So that's why here we back to our PowerPoint file. So we have so many different IDE. Actually, I already show you a couple of that, the screenshot, how we will use the Visual Studio and the code blocks or Xcode or Cloud9. So then here I will show you the first thing we see how to import to the Xcode. So we have different IDE. So the first thing we see the Xcode. On Mac system we use the Xcode. So in order to run an existing file, of course you need to have your project ready. Also earlier I have the screenshot to show you how to make the project ready from the Xcode. So then usually you already have the source file. So then we need to remove that from our project. Okay. So now you need to add the new file earlier just download. So you right click, you see you can add the file to your project. So then go to the directory. Okay, so earlier remember we download this one actually under our download. Okay, so we go to the downloads. Okay, so then we have the chapter 1 example. Okay, so then you see here is your file. So then you can run this program. So you run this program, you will see console, they show how many hours did you work. So you type 15 hours I work. So then how much you get paid. So maybe 1 hour I make $20. So then you earn 300. So that you can run this one on Xcode. So then the next one, let me show you on Visual Studio and code blocks. Open the code blocks. So then you will see, right, so remember they will ask us to create a project. So then let me show you, see you create a new project here. So then we need to create a console application project. Okay, so we go next, C++. So the project name is COMSC110. So I want to save that on the desktop. Go next. Okay. So after you create the project, you will see here they have the project folder. But remember, we already have the main CPP. So that's why, of course, you can run. But now I don't want to run the main. If I want to run other files, so the first thing I need to remove this file from the project. So then we will load to the download file to the project. So add the new file. So you right click, you move your mouse to the project. Right click, see add the files. So then they will show you in the file browser, file explorer to see where. So we download and download folder. Okay, so then you have your so did you see that? Earlier I have the add file. Okay, so that's chapter 1 example under the download. So you open that. Okay, so then they actually just using the default, say okay. So then see they are under the source, under the download. So you have this example. Okay, so of course you want to run again using the green arrow and build in the run. So then your result will be in the console. So that's the code blocks. Okay, so continue with, let me show you how about Visual Studio, how I can add a new file. So one thing is, because in this course, a lot of time, I have some demo file I want you to run. So you need to know how you will add to your existing project to run the program. I open the Visual Studio, so you don't need to sign in. So then you just start Visual Studio. It will take a while. Okay, so then after they open, so then we start the Visual Studio 2019. So then we just create a new project. Okay, so remember, I want you to use the empty project. Okay, so then the same thing, we give them the project name. So then maybe we give them the consign. You can have the same project name. The reason is they are in different IDE, so they are in different locations. So I have COMSC110, but for Visual Studio, you need to remember your location. By default, they were under your username, source, and REPOS. Otherwise, you see you can change the location. Okay, so then we create. So then after you create a project, you see you will have your Solution Explorer show. So then for the Visual Studio, you say the empty project. So then they didn't give you any source file. So that's a good thing. We just try to add what we have from the download. So you can right click because I want to add. So you see right click, then you have add. So then the new item is you have a brand new file. But now I want you to run the existing item. So I go to existing item. So then they will show the file explorer. Okay, but the file I want to run actually is under the download. So under the download, I insert that. So you can see here is the file associated with this project. So I double click that. So then they open this source file under Visual Studio. Okay. So I want to show you the whole thing in one project. But one thing is because the resolution after I upload the file, upload the video will be smaller. So that's why I just make sure that I'm too small when I show you the screen. Okay, so that's the Visual Studio. So Visual Studio, after you have the file, right, you need to run. So we just choose debug. So we start without debugging. So then you will see they will try to build. And you see in the console. So the same thing, how many hours you work. I work 35 hours. So I got to pay for $30. So what I show you here actually is how you will do your lab exercise 1. I just want you to make sure you can run the program for now. Of course, in the next lecture video, I will detail explain to you what does that mean for each statement in this source file.